Philosophy is a rational understanding of the world. It is an inquiry into what one experiences. The term experience is very vast, it is very wide. I start experiencing right now moment, I start experiencing all that is around me, and I want to know what all is this. I want to know what is the matter, what is the mind, what is the consciousness, what is the soul, whether soul as such as different from body exists or not. Is there a God? What is time, what is space, what is matter? How are these all two distinct, and what is the relation between all these things? Thus, there are various questions in philosophy, and all the traditions, the Greek tradition or the Western tradition and the Indian tradition have contributed a lot to this sort of thinking. Philosophy is thus a constant query into the ultimate reality. Now, what I am going to try to bring before you is the conception of the meditation. The concept of meditation is rightly put forth in Yoga Darshana. You will find Vedas are interested in knowing the ultimate reality. Vedas are the roots of all philosophy. Then come Upanishads, and then come the 6 darshanas called as Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purimamsa and Uttaramamsa. They all have the question what is meant by the consciousness or chitta. Sankhya and Yoga are the important darshanas because they focus their attention to understand what is the nature of Prakriti and Purusha, and how can Purusha be liberated from Prakriti, how can he know himself. For that purpose one requires to have meditation, and yoga is a darshan which is a guidance to the Sankhya, a guidance to the Sankhya in the sense that it gives you a way as how to know one's own mind or consciousness. One can know the consciousness or the mind by contemplation, by meditation. They have thought about it. They give you the rules and regulations as how to concentrate. What are the various asanas to be performed? What is the pranayama and all that? There are a number of things which if you follow, it is possible for you to contemplate or to meditate and to know what your mind is. Krishnamurti, the modern thinker, is well aware of the contribution of yoga philosophy. He has tried all that, all those asanas, pranayamas, repetition of different chants, saying Om, 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 closing eyes and all that, but he found it very difficult. He found that merely concentration does not mean dhyana, because in concentration we just go on excluding a number of things, but we do not reach where really one wants to reach. So, he has his own method. He says that one has to find out himself his own way of contemplation. Now, suppose I want to contemplate, I want to meditate. Where should I go? Where should I sit for meditation? I want a quiet place, perfect with solitude, a clean and a nice place, a wonderful place where nobody is there. Can I contemplate? Can I meditate? It is not sure that I can meditate, because I will be there with my mind, and mind is not clean. There are so many impurities in mind. There are so many desires in mind. There are so many attachments in mind. There are so many images in mind. There are so many memories in mind, and there is a chaos. and with a chaotic mind, even if there is a solitude, I cannot meditate. Meditation, therefore, does not depend upon where you sit and what asana you have, or whether you are doing pranayama or you are chanting some mantras or not. That means meditation is not a matter as strictly having a certain asana. Krishnamurti further observes that one loses his lot of energy in doing the various asanas and performing the various rules and regulations regarding asanas, and in return he is nothing more, much more. So, he has respect for yoga, but he says that I want to, that is J. Krishnamurti wants to find out a new way to look at the meditation, find out a new meaning of the meditation. So, he goes on inquiring what is the nature of meditation. First of all, he wants to say that what really is the nature of mind. How is mind? Mind is like a sponge. It goes on absorbing everything that comes into its contact. Mind is like a blotting paper. It goes on blotting all the experiences, and it goes on storing all those experiences. And then what happens? The mind, the flow of mind becomes a great storage, and the great storage is a storage called as memory. And every now and then memory becomes an hindrance in having a new experience. I cannot experience a moment called as now into singular and comma without there being any impact, any influence of my memories. Mind is flowing, and in the flow thoughts, desires, attachments, vasanas, previous impressions come and go, and they leave all the time some effect on my mind. So, how can I read a new moment? The now. Now becomes the apprehension of now, the comprehension of now, the understanding of now, now into singular comma becomes impossible for me, because my memory is at work. Memory is a certain force which always gives its impression on the present moment, and the present moment I cannot grasp because it is not a fresh experience. It is as if an experience which I had before, and I am just claiming that this is my experience. So, it becomes, the memory becomes a curtain between the seer and the seen. So, one must understand the importance that the memory has to be seized. But is it possible that the memory to be seized? In a sense, it cannot be seized. Memories would there all the time. You cannot leave aside the store of memory, because in the flux of your consciousness memories are there. Then how to solve the problem? J. Krishnamurti says, in order to solve the problems, do not pay attention to the memories or the impressions. What the impressions are going to do with you? You are not concerned with the impressions. What the meditator is concerned with? The meditator is concerned with looking at his own consciousness with perfect silence. Silence is the thing that is most important. Silence is the thing that makes the mind beautiful, and the beautiful mind is called by J. Krishnamurti as a religious mind. We must know the working of the mind. How does mind works? Mind works all the time, here and now, here and now. The mind goes on clinging to everything, it goes on storing everything, and there is one more thing about the mind, that mind has certain interests. You will find that each person is different from the other person because the interests are different. And when I see something, I see according to my interest, and that which does not coordinate with my interest, I try to neglect that. And even if something comes which is not of my own interest, I try to impose my interest on that. So, what builds my frame of mind? My frame of mind is built by interests. Interests and various interests together make a whole what is called as my mind. There is another thing that one cannot overlook, that is, one goes on building his own image. I say that I am somebody, I am so and such person, and I am a poet, or I am a philosopher, or I am an artist, or I am a big man, a great man, a hero, and so on. That means I create my image. The moment I create my image, it happens that I see through the image. The image becomes a door or a window, rather a frame. Then my looking becomes narrow. It is narrowed down because I see through a small hole of the image. So, image becomes again a hindrance in getting the experience as pure as possible. How is really the mind initially? Initially, the mind is like an audio tape. Audio tape is in the beginning very clean, nothing is written upon it. Consciousness is in the beginning is like that, it is nothing in the beginning. But the moment the consciousness comes into the contact of the other world, the rest of the world and the body and the senses and the mental things and the mental affairs and desires and so on, so many impressions are written upon the consciousness. The tape is then full with various impressions. The tape then gets polluted with a number of impressions. So is the case with the mind. I cannot grasp the reality as it is. I fail to grasp the reality as it is because my mind is polluted. And it happens that everyone has his own views. He maintains his views regarding the self, regarding the existence of God, whether God exists or not, and sees accordingly. He sticks himself to some kind of thought or some kind of doctrine. He becomes a materialist or a spiritualist. He accepts some religion, he discards some other religion, he loves something and hates something. He has his likes and he has dislikes. What happens then? As a result, the mind always gets spoiled, and with a spoiled mind you cannot meditate, you cannot contemplate. First of all, what man has to do according to J. Krishnamurti, that he has to eradicate all that is polluted substance hidden in the mind, and there we require a courage. But how to eradicate? It is not a thing as simple as there is something in the basket and you can throw it out. You cannot throw your ideas, your desires from your mind. So, what happens then? What to do then? What to do then is answered, is replied by J. Krishnamurti, is that look at all the affairs very silently. Do not get touched with any of the affairs, do not get touched with the past. The past plays a great role in experiencing the now, experiencing the present, and our ideas then becomes polluted. So, what really J. Krishnamurti wants to say that meditation can be successfully attained not just by various asanas or pranayamas or chanting of mantras. It cannot be just yielded by sitting somewhere in a place where there is solitude, where there is silence. It is not possible, because we go there with a mind full of ideas, full of desires, full of clingings and so on. So, what really is needed? What really is needed is to vacate the mind. But again, the meaning of vacating the mind is keeping aside and giving no importance to all these, and looking all very silently to what it happens in mind. Observe the things as they are, observe them as blank, observe them as they are, and when you are able to observe them as they are, then you succeed slowly and gradually into the field of meditation. So, the conception of meditation is greatly concerned with the nature of mind. One must know what one's mind is. Mind is not a thing that you can see as an outside object. It is not an outside entity, but it does not mean that it does not exist. It is with you and with me. I know what is going on in my mind, and you know what is going on in your mind. We are directly witnessing the affairs of mind, the processes that take place in mind. How is mind? Mind is hungry of experiences. It wants this and that and every experience. Even though it comes to know certain times that something is good, something is bad, something is right, something is ugly, it wants to have the experience, and it goes on storing the experience, and all these experiences spoil the mind. The speed of the mind is very, very fast. One cannot count the speed of the mind. It could be it is perhaps the greater than the speed of the ray of the sun. You have to check. How can one check? One cannot check by obstructing it with hand or something. One has then just to neglect what is happening in the mind. That is to look at it with perfect silence, and perfect silence alone can lead to dhyana or meditation. Silence consists of ceasing of all the old images, words and previous impressions. To this silence, J. Krishnamurti says, a religious mind, the religion that is not touched by the church or the mud or the temple or anything else. The religious mind is the explosion of love. It is this love that knows no separation, in which there is no division, all division ceases to be. From this silence alone, the meditative mind acts. Meditation is one of the greatest arts, and one can possibly learn it from, cannot learn it from anybody, but one has to perform and understand the act of meditation by oneself. One is his own teacher, own guru in the act of meditation. When you want to learn about meditation, then watch how you walk, how you talk, or how you say, or how you eat, or how you do anything. And while watching all these, you just remain steady, unmoved, untouched by anything, and that is what is called as meditation. Meditation is not something different from the daily life. Do not go off into the corner of a room and meditate for 10 minutes. Meditation must be a constant process. If you do not want to get influenced by anything, look at the things as having a steady mind. Meditation you can do all the day, all the time. in the office or in the road, anywhere you are. It is not the problem where you are and what you are doing. If you want to meditate, then just be there, watching everything that happens around you and that happens within your mind. Do not get disturbed. That often has been said by J. Krishnamurti, and it is very important to know for a common man as what is the meaning of meditation. Meditation must become a part of life. It is not just an activity to be performed either in the morning or evening for some time and for some minutes. It is important to understand the meaning of meditation in a different way altogether. Meditation need not necessarily to be understood as something which is very hard and difficult. You can buy pleasures in the market, but you cannot buy bliss in the market. If you want bliss, the only thing is that you can be able to meditate. Meditation brings you bliss because it puts you in such a position that you are not influenced by anything, and you are watching the things as if your tape is clean and blank.